Hi guys, hopefully you can see me now that our video is up, and hopefully you have the chat off to the side so you can see the chat and the video at the same time. So I see a few people typing, which is good. Abby can see me, that's excellent. Hopefully a few more. If you can't see me, maybe type something in or throw in a red X. There you go, this is what I look like. This is a course here in the background. You guys have probably had a chance to log in here and maybe have a look at some of this stuff. While we were kind of transitioning from my room to here, a few of you were asking about textbooks. And for the math course, there is no textbook. Everything is kind of integrated to the course online, so you don't have to worry about textbook. There's tutorials there, there will be questions and workbooks and quizzes, and everything's kind of set up so it's all done online. So you don't have to lug a textbook around. As long as you have access to the internet, you should be good. So we went kind of through the course outline and expectations, just kind of give you guys a rundown of how the marks are going to work out. I just wanted to bring the course up here behind me so you guys have a chance to kind of look through what it's going to look like. So yours will look a bit like this, maybe perhaps a little bit different because I have the ability to edit this. So if I just scroll down, this is me here. This is when I was hiking last summer. I did the West Coast Trail off the coast of Vancouver Island. Really cool hike. If anybody ever has the opportunity, I'd recommend you do it. And you can see the course is kind of broken up into a bunch of units. So I think there's 10 of them in total. Right now, all you can see is the introduction up at the top. And it looks like this. There's some algebra review stuff, bed mass, fractions, and student review submission spot. So we're going to go through some of that stuff today, just depending on how much time we have. The first unit we're going to do is actually unit number 2, and it's a measurement unit. And it's kind of an odd duck because it doesn't really fit in with anything else. So I figured we'd do it first. The second unit gets into a little bit of number theory, things like that, which is unit number 1, kind of backwards, real number system radicals. And then as we get through the course, you'll see that all the units are almost identical. So they'll all have a workbook, they'll all have some quizzes and a unit test at the end of it. So I'm just going to leave it on unit number 2 because this is going to be a little bit more of what you're going to see. I know it's kind of hard to see because it's all hidden still from you guys. So there are your worksheets, your quizzes, the tutorials that we do in the studio here will all be loaded up online too. So it'll all be in there. I'm just kind of perfecting how that's going to look. But before we get there, I just want to kind of see where you guys are at and get you familiar a little bit with how we're going to do things here. So very top of the page, you can see your names probably up in the top corner here. And there's this little messages tab. If you were to click on the messages, up comes your messaging window. So this is a really great way to get a hold of me if you need to send me a message, or if you ever have anything, concerns, troubles, maybe one of the problems isn't working out for you. So hopefully you can navigate through that. I have some messages being sent right now, which is awesome. You basically need to just navigate to probably FMP 10, Foundations Math Pre-Calculus 10, and then the whole class list will come up, and my name and Mrs. Wood and Mrs. Ward should all be up at the top here. And if you ever have a question, send me a message through there. Or you can send it to my email address, which I'll put up in the course here in a little bit. So that's kind of where a good place for you to contact me. And you guys have been to the front page. Obviously, you've been through how to get into the course, else you wouldn't be here. I have a few more courses than you, so yeah, mine looks a little bit different. Another thing I want to mention is just down below my picture here, you guys can see that I've written a little blurb about submitting assignments. So every time we get a new unit, we are going to have an opportunity to do some work. I want you guys to do all the work, show all your steps. It's really important in math, especially because I'm not there with you. I kind of have to diagnose any problems you're having from here. So it's really important that you show your work so I can try to follow what you're doing. There's lots of different ways to do some of the problems. I mean, many of the problems, one step or the other is fine to start with, and it's important that I can kind of follow and kind of pick out where you're making mistakes if you're making mistakes, so I can get that back to you and we can make sure that you're on the right track. Yeah, Mr. Beatstone, I asked him, I'm like, Mr. Beatstone, what program do you use for the students to submit these documents? So he suggested TinyScan. So basically, you can submit your assignments a few ways. If you print them off and you do all your work and you want to submit your kind of workbook to me, you can scan it if you have a scanner at home and put it all together and submit it as one document. Or you can take pictures of it and using like a camera phone. And there's a couple of really cool programs that I've put in here that will take all of those images and put them all together in one PDF document, which will be really easy for you to submit and it'll be easy for me to look at. So if you're from the grade 9 program last year, Mr. Beatstone, he uses TinyScan, and that's a great program. There is also Cam Scanner. I downloaded this one on my phone and it worked really well. I liked it, but if you want to use TinyScan, you already have it and you're familiar with it, that's fine. So what I've done is I've included links to the Android and the Apple store, and you can go in and have a read and maybe pick whatever one you like and watch the video and check the reviews, and maybe you want to download both and give them both a go and see which one works best for you. I don't care either way. There's probably at least 1,000 other ones out there that will allow you to do exactly what we need to do, which is take pictures of all of your sheets. So I think the first workbook that you guys do in unit number 2 is about 10 pages or so long. So you're going to take the 10 images of your completed work. The program, TinyScan or Cam Scanner, is going to put all of those images together for you, and then you can submit that as one file. It's really important and really easy and helpful for me that when you submit these workbooks and when you submit your work, it's one file per unit. It would take me forever to go through 10 pages as 10 separate files for 20-something students. So if you can get in the habit of putting everything together in one file, it would make my life a lot easier. And these programs will allow you to do that. So it shouldn't be too much of a headache. If you're having issues with it, that's fine. We're going to get through it together. This is all new for me. This is probably a lot of new stuff for you guys as well. So it's going to be a bit of a learning process. Like this morning, I had to start on Blackboard and then move over here to the studio. So we'll get used to it. We'll figure out what works together. And that being said, it's really important that you guys are kind of vocal about what's working and what's not working. If something kind of happens and you don't like it and it's not working for you, let me know. Send me a message, type it into the chat, or whatever. If something's going really well, same thing. Say, hey, Mr. Warner, really liked it when we did this. And that way I know that you guys are it's working for you and I can keep doing those things, because we've never done this before, and you guys are essentially our guinea pigs. So I've taught this math course many times, probably about my 8th or 9th time teaching the Math 10 course. So I've gone through the math, but I've never presented it in sort of this format before. I'm not sure anyone has. So we're kind of, front runners in that regard. So that's kind of like an introduction to the course, how to get a hold of me, what the course is going to look like in Moodle. And I wanted to get a little bit of math done today. The first unit, kind of introductory unit, isn't going to be for marks or anything. Basically, why I included all this stuff is to give you guys a chance to kind of get your brains back working in math again. I know for some of us it might have been a while since you've seen math, and kind of get a feel for submitting documents and printing things off, or writing the questions down, whatever is going to work best for you guys. So think of it more as that. I want to kind of get a feel for where everyone is in terms of math, and some people love math, some people don't really like math, and that's fine. It doesn't matter either way. I've been talking for a long time. Let's get you guys doing a little bit of stuff. If you really, really enjoy math, like you love math, you love working through math, do you want to give me a green check mark for my math people who really, really enjoy this sort of thing? Anybody dare give me a green check mark? Not a lot of green checks. Couple of us, yeah. There's usually, a bunch of people who really like math. Obviously, I'm a math teacher, so I really enjoyed doing math in high school. That's fair. It looks like about a third of you. All right, give me a green check mark if you strongly dislike math. You just don't like math. Don't be afraid. There's nothing wrong with not liking math. There's a lot of people who don't really like math. There you go. A few of us. About 4. Fair enough. That's fine. And then 5, if you're just kind of indifferent to math, it's something you do, you're okay at it, you kind of go along with it, you want to fire a green check in if you're just kind of indifferent to the whole situation. Just go along with whatever's happening, and there you go. Anna doesn't hate it, but she doesn't love it. That's fine. All right. So there you go. There's a pretty good mix of people who like math, don't like math, and kind of indifferent to it. So we're going to get through this together. Hopefully, you guys will kind of come along with me on this journey, and we'll go from there. So I know I didn't give you guys a heads up ahead of time for you to come in and download these Word documents and print them off or anything like that. So I completely understand if you aren't ready to kind of go right now, which is fine. But if you could find a pencil and a piece of paper, and if you have a printer and you want to, and it's right next to you or something, if you want to open up the grade 9 algebra review notes in the course, I'll give you guys a second to go over to the course and open up this grade 9 algebra review notes document. So if you can print it off, awesome. If you can't, that's okay. You can just write down the questions as we go, and there'll be nothing wrong with that. I just want to get a little bit of stuff done today, and you need to buy ink. You know what? All summer, my printer was out of ink, so I had to drive all the way down to the school to print anything off that I needed to print, sorry. So if you can't print it, it's all good. And even if you don't have a printer at home, don't worry about it too much. It's just as easy to write down the questions as you go. Just might be a little bit more work for you. So I'm going to open up another program here on my computer. It's called OneNote. And this is where I'm going to do the math problems and things like that we do in class. So I need to flip my screen around, and it might do crazy things in the background, but just bear with me here. Yep, crazy things. Get it sorted out. Come on, come on. There we go. I have my trusty calculator here in the background. If I need it, hopefully I don't today. Should be pretty straightforward stuff. All right, so I'm just going to go through a few of these questions. If you do have any questions as I go, please write in chat. Like, Mr. Bourne, I don't understand how you did this, or where did the 3 come from? Let me know. This is the point of doing the course this way, as opposed to just a traditional DL course where you watch a video. You guys have the ability to interact with me as I'm doing it. So if I have made a mistake, or if you're confused, there's a good chance that somebody else is probably confused as well. So really don't be shy, type it in. I don't understand what's going on, please help. Whatever, you can raise your hand or get my attention in any way, and we'll make sure we kind of go as slow as you guys need to, and we'll make it through. Now this is stuff that you should have probably seen in grade 9, so hopefully it's a review. Hopefully it's just kind of jogging your memory as to how this math stuff works. So I'm going to do a few questions here, just to kind of jog your memory. So when we see the word evaluate, and you guys probably have seen these words before, but writing in math is kind of like learning a new language. The file is complete gibberish. You said that before. Is anybody having issues with the file other than Devin? What I can do is, when I get back to my office in about half an hour or so, I can re-upload it as a PDF, and that might work better. You don't have a file. If you don't have it, that's fine. You can just, grab a piece of paper, blank page, line paper or whatnot, and you can just do the work Mine's working. All right, so some are having issues, some are not. English and ADC. Oh, Naomi, we may need to register you in the course still if you're maybe a late applicant or something. So some people are working, some are not. Either way, if you can see the video behind me and you can see me, we're doing okay. So just grab a sheet of paper and maybe you'd like to go through a couple of these problems with me. And cannot print, copy, and paste it onto another Word document. Huh. Well, either way, grab paper, pencil, and we're going to go through a couple problems here. So evaluate means essentially we're going to substitute the values into the equation. So you can see the letter x is equal to -1. So anywhere there's an x down below, we're going to put in a -1. So we see an x there, we see an x there. So we're going to put in a -1 for each of those. So we're going to get 2 times -1 minus y plus 3z minus 3 times -1. Now, I kind of did just one step there, but typically as we kind of get moving, I'll probably do a couple steps at a time. So you can also see that the letter y is equal to 2. So anytime we see a y, we're going to put in a 2. So I'm going to put a 2 in there. And the letter z is equal to 4. So I'm going to put in the 4 there. So I'm going to substitute everything in, and then I'm going to do some math. So here we go. Maybe I'll just do this all in blue or green. 2 times -1 minus, and then we put in a 2 for y, plus 3. The z was a 4, and then we have minus 3 times -1. Now that's all looking a bit confusing, so we need to kind of remember our order of operations. We always write it down as bed mass. Very good, E. Remembering to do anything in brackets first, exponents, division, multiplication, addition, subtraction. So we can do the addition, subtraction after we do the multiplication. So some of you have probably done this at home, but the first one we're working through here is 2 times -1 is going to be -2. And then we're going to have the -2 here. There's no multiplication there. We're going to have the 3 times a 4, which is going to give us 12. And then I'm going to have -3 and a -1 is going to give me +3. And from this point, I'm just going to do the addition and subtraction. So -2 minus 2 is -4 plus a 12. We got there. It's going to give us -4. We're going to add 12 to it. So we have +8 plus 3. We should end up with 11. So how do we do? Did I do that right? Did I miss anything? It's probably the first math question I've done in quite some time. Nobody has any red flags flying around in chat, so I must be doing something right. I got the okay from Abby. I'm moving on. And again, if I'm going too fast, hey, Mr. Borden, where did the 4 come from? Anything like that, let me know. I'm going to try to break it down to as many steps as I can. Go as slow as possible for the first little bit here until we kind of get back into things. Naomi, what can we do to unconfuse you? Are you confused about the math, or are you confused about where the sheet came from, where these problems are coming from? How can we help you? I'm going to just scroll a little bit down to the next question here. Everything. Okay. Well, like I said before, Naomi, all the stuff we're doing today, it's not for marks. Just kind of get you guys familiar with the course, me, how I'm going to do things, submitting things. So if you're really confused, we can chat after in Blackboard. I can send you a message or send me a little message and we can sort everything out. So if it's all a bit overwhelming right now, I would not worry about it. This is day 1. Nothing we're doing for marks yet. Just getting familiar, getting comfortable with everything, getting you guys kind of set up in the course. So just take a deep breath. How am I getting the -2 minus 2 plus 12 plus 3? That's a good question. I'm doing the multiplication, so maybe I'll throw in some red here. I substituted this in, so I'm going to do the multiplication there. And then I had some multiplication here. And then I had some multiplication here. And I was going to do all of that multiplication before I added or subtracted using my bed mass, so my order of operations. The multiplication happens first, so I get the -2 there. I'm just bringing this -2 down. The 3 and the 4 gives me the 12, and the -3 and the -1, two negatives, gives me the +3. Hopefully that clarifies. And then down here at the bottom, I'll just underline everything in black here. All of this stuff is just adding. The -2 minus 2 plus the 12 plus the 3. So we're just going through and adding. Hopefully we're getting all that. If not, we can always go back and look at it later because we're going to record this. This will be broadcast. I'll put it in the course right up at the top of the page at the beginning of the introduction unit. So I'll just leave that up for a second. The next question says simplify. The first question said evaluate. So evaluate usually means find a number as a solution. When we see something that says simplify, typically we're going to have a bunch of variables that we need to sort out. So we're combining things that are the same. So when it says simplify, we're looking for things that are similar. So if we look, I'm just going to take my red pen here, and I'm going to underline all of my x's. So I have 5 x's there. I have 4 x's there. Those are my x's. If it makes more sense to talk about like apples, then pretend the x's are apples. How many apples do we have? Well, we have 5 apples, and then we have another 4 apples. So we're going to add those together in a second. My other variables, I have my y's. So I have -2y's, and then I just have 1 here. Of course, we don't write the 1 in front of the y, but we know there's kind of one of them there. And lastly, I have my z. So I have -1, and then I have -4. We're gonna stick the signs with those things. So if it's a negative in front of the 4, there's going to be -4 of those. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my x's together. How many x's do I have? I had 5 out front here, and then I have another 4. So altogether, I have 9 x's. And then I'm going to go ahead and do my y's. I have -2 here, and I have +1. So if I have -2, I'm going to add 1 to it. I should end up with a -1y. And I'm not going to put the 1 in front. I'm just going to leave it as -y. If you did put the 1 in front, that's fine, but we don't usually write it that way. It's not wrong, it's just kind of not how we would normally write things. So I'm going to leave it out. If you want to include it, I'll know what you're talking about. The last thing is the z's. So we have -1 here, and we have another -4. And if we're kind of getting confused about our negatives and positives, one really easy way to think about it is temperature. If it's -1 degrees outside, and then I have -4, so it's getting 4 degrees colder, it's going down 4 more, what temperature do I have outside? Well, I'd have -5. And that's it. That's as simple as we can make that. Yeah, Jade, for sure. If you have done this different ways, that's fine. This is just the kind of the way that I'm going to go through it. So there's lots of ways to do these problems. You could have done them different ways, of course. As long as when you're doing the work, I can kind of follow what you're doing, that's all that matters. Abby asked an excellent question. What order should they be in? Well, the order is, it's kind of a weird rule, but generally speaking, we do it in alphabetical order. It just kind of makes sense to do it that way. And it doesn't always work out that our answer will be that way, but generally speaking, especially when you're doing things on the computer, because computers like to alphabeticalize things, and provincial exam will almost always be in alphabetical order, that's fine. But if you had written something like, -y plus 9x minus 5z in that order, that would be fine as well. It's the correct answer. They're just in a different order. I mean, it's just probably a little bit more proper to write them alphabetically, but if you write them out that way, then there's nothing wrong with that. Everything's right about it. Just making sure your signs are correct is kind of the only tricky part there. The next one here is a little bit of algebra, and hopefully you guys are comfortable with algebra, because a lot of what we're going to do in this course kind of revolves around doing algebra with exponents or solving equations, things like that, factoring. So this stuff's kind of important, and hopefully it comes back to you quickly. When we are doing algebra, algebra is usually solving for a variable, trying to get x or y equal to something. When Abby asked another question, will they mark it wrong on a provincial exam if you write it out of order? So on your provincial exam, it's all multiple choice. So it's kind of on you to figure out if you got an answer like the second one here, but choice A on the exam says this. It's up to you to kind of figure it out in your brain how you got the right answer, but they're just kind of jumbled out of order. So organize the numbers? Yeah, that's fine. Again, any way you do it, as long as you're getting to the right spot, it's all good. So yeah, again, on a provincial exam, it's up to you to figure out when you make it to the end, you kind of get a bit of a panic. You're like, oh no, my answer isn't there. And it is, you just need to rearrange them. So it won't happen too often, but it might from time to time. So just be aware. All right, we're going to solve for each variable. I'll probably only spend maybe another 10 minutes or so doing this stuff, and then I'll give you guys some time to try to sort out downloading those other documents and seeing if you can get them printed, or if you need ink, or if you just want to write them out, whatever works for you. And I'll just wrap up here in a second. So we're going to do a couple of these, and then I'll give you guys some time to work on the other sheet. So solve for each variable, x plus 3 equals 9. Now anytime we're solving for a variable, we're always going to do kind of the opposite of what's going on. And the main goal is to get the variable by itself. So in this case, we look at the question, number 3 here. Our variable is x. And we want to try to isolate it or get it by itself, so it says x equals. In this case, we're adding 3 to it. So the opposite of adding 3 is going to be subtracting 3. So if I subtract 3 from one side, I have to subtract 3 from the other side as well. Remember, the equal sign is kind of like a balance point. If we have something happening on one side, it gets it out of balance. We have to do it to both sides, so everything kind of works out in the middle. So if I've subtracted 3 from both sides, I'm going to end up with x. The plus 3 minus 3 is going to give me 0, so the x is now by itself. And then 9 take away 3 is going to give us 6. So x equals 6. That's our answer. That's kind of it for those. Pretty basic one to start. They get a little trickier here. So the next one here, our variable that we're going to try to solve for here is m. That's the only variable we have. And in order to get m by itself, I'm going to have to move everything away from the m. It's going to be a two-step problem. So it'll be the same first step as the last question. I have plus 4, so 2m plus 4. The opposite of, or I have 2m minus 4, getting ahead of myself. The opposite of subtracting 4 is adding 4. So if I add 4 to one side, I have to add 4 to the other side of the equal sign. If I do it to one, I have to do the other. We need that balance. So I'm going to end up with 2m. The 4's are going to cancel because if I have plus 4 minus 4 gives me 0. And that's going to equal 2. Now the m has been isolated, but I still have this 2 in front of it. And you'll remember that if you have 2 in front of a variable, you're doing multiplication. So the opposite of multiplication is division. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide this side by 2, because 2 divided by 2 will give me 1. The 2's will disappear. If I divide one side by 2, I must do the same thing to the other side. So in this case, the 2 over 2 is going to just leave me with m, which I wanted to happen. And then on the right side of my equal sign, I had 2 divided by 2, and 2 divided by 2 should just give me 1. So I'm going to end up with m is equal to 1. Put that over here so you can see it a bit larger, and that's that. See some people are going to type in a question. Shouldn't it be 6 over 2? It definitely should, because 2 plus 4 is 6. See, I promised you guys I'd make a mistake. I was worried. All right, so I'm going to write it again over here. 2m minus 4, 2 plus 4 is 6. So I get 2m is equal to 6. Thank you guys, caught me on that one. I'm going to divide both sides by 2 again. Same process. 2's are going to cancel. And 6 over 2, nothing like confusing you guys on the first day. 6 over 2 is going to give us 3. Hopefully that makes a bit more sense. You'll just move down here to number 5. Give you guys a second if you want to write that one down. All right, so this time it's a little bit trickier because the variable, in this case a, it's not out front. It's kind of hidden in the middle of our equation here. So there's 2 ways to do this. If you want to move the a to the right side, you can do that, and that'll be fine. If you want to just move the 4 to the other side and then divide by -1 at the end, you can do that as well. So I'm not sure which way you've learned how to do it. I'm going to actually move the 4 to the other side. Just keep the a negative on the left side. If you want to move the a to the other side and do it that way, that's fine. So because I have this 4 out front, and there's no plus or minus in front of it, so if there's no sign out there, I always assume it to be positive. So I have a positive 4 there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides. It's going to be a little bit different. So the 4's go away. So I have negative a, and then -6 take away 4 is -10. At this point, I have this negative a, which is really the same thing as, I'll just write it over to the side here, -1 times a. So if I'm multiplying by -1, the opposite of multiplying by -1 is dividing by -1. So I can either divide both sides by -1 or I can multiply both sides by -1. It's really going to take me to the same place. So what I'm going to do, just because it makes the most sense in my little peanut brain, is to multiply both sides by -1. If I multiply one side by -1, I have to do the other. So in this case, a times, or negative a times -1 is positive a, and -10 times -1 is positive 10. I don't have to write the positive in there, so I'm going to lose that. And I get a is equal to 10. So again, you could have done it a different way. If you end at the same spot, that's really all that matters. See anybody waving hands, getting too terribly excited about that? All right. I'm going to move over to number 6 here. The question here has a decimal in it, which is no big deal. Sometimes we get kind of nervous about decimals or fractions. We're going to treat it the exact same way as we have all the other ones. So I'm just going to lose this m minus 1 if my pen works for me. There we go. Give myself a little bit more room to see it. So I have the 3h minus 1.5 equals 7.5. I want to move the 1.5 to the other side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 1.5 to both sides of my equal sign. So negative 1.5 plus 1.5, because those opposites, those are going to go away. Going to give me 3h. 7.5 plus the 1 is 8.5 plus the halves is going to give me 9. And at this point, I'm multiplying my variable h by 3, so the opposite of multiplying is going to be dividing. So I'm going to divide both sides by 3. My 3's are going to divide out to give me just 1, which is going to leave me with an h. And 9 over 3 should be 3. So fraction, no big deal. Or in this case, a decimal. Hopefully everyone's still with me. I'll do these last two, and then I'll set you guys free for the day here. Again, there's a couple ways to do these ones. Just sticking kind of with what I've been doing is always getting the variable by itself first, and then I can deal with it from there. So in this case, it's x divided by 2, which is a fraction, and not everybody loves fractions, so that's okay. But what we're going to do is the same thing. We have this 4, and we want to move it to the other side to get the variable by itself. So if I'm adding 4, the opposite of adding 4 is subtracting 4. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to take 4 away from both sides. So I'm still going to be left with this x over 2. The 4's are going to go away because plus 4, negative 4 is 0. And then 7 take away 4 is going to give me 3. So that's going to get me to this spot. Now, I'm dividing x by 2. X over 2 is x divided by 2. The opposite of dividing by 2 is going to be multiplying by 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply everything on this side by 2. To keep our balance, again, we're going to have to multiply everything on this side by 2. 2 divided by 2 is going to give me a 1, and 1 times x is simply x. And the 3 times the 2 is going to give me a 6. So I'm going to end up with x is equal to 6. Now, that was a little bit trickier. That's kind of more of what we'll see in grade 10 kind of things. We'll start with stuff like that when we get into some of the algebra. So, a couple steps. We've got lots of things happening there. I'll do this last one, and then I will stop for the day. So, my variable is kind of hidden in the middle. It's divided by 2. 7 doesn't work. What's wrong with 7? Did I make another mistake? Or is it broken? What's not working out for you there, Devin? Six plus 4. Oh, I think you might have done one of the steps out of order. So if we move the 4 over first, and then where are you getting 6 from? I'm not sure you're 6. Well, it's not about being smart or not. You make a mistake. I made a mistake earlier. It happens. Division. Those fractions will get you. That's why we're going into this slow, so you guys can get back into the feel for things and get used to this stuff again. All right, I'm going to move the 12 to the other side. So I have the 12 up front. I'm going to subtract 12 from both sides. Oh, minus 12. That way that's going to go, and I'm going to have negative x over 2. If I have 8 and I take away 12, it should give me minus 4. Hopefully. That's going to get us that far. Now we have this negative sign. We have the 2 on the bottom. It's all very confusing. You just need to pick at it one step at a time. So there's no correct thing to do. It's all multiplication division now. Whatever one you want to do first, go for it. What I'm going to do is, I don't really like dealing with negatives, so I'm going to get rid of that negative. And the easiest way to do that is multiply both sides by negative 1. That's going to give me negative 1 times negative x. It's going to give me positive x over 2. And on the right side, I have negative 1 times negative 4 is going to give me positive 4, because 2 negatives is going to give me a positive. Now, if you wanted to get rid of that 2 before doing the negatives, you're going to get to the same place as me, just in a different way. And that's fine if you wanted to do it that way. So now that I have this 2 on the bottom, it's x divided by 2. The opposite of division is multiplication. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply by both sides by 2. The 2's are going to be on the top and bottom. 2 divided by 2 is going to just give me the 1. And on my right side, I'm going to have 4 times 2 is 8. So I'm going to end up with x is equal to 8. Now, in terms of grade 9 math, that would be a really tricky question. So if you're kind of like, whoa, a little bit lost on that, don't worry about it. We'll get there eventually. If you kind of breeze through that last one, good for you. Obviously, you're strong in math. That's not an easy one. And if you're just kind of plugging away and not really knowing what's going on, it's all good. You can take a look at the video afterwards and you'll figure everything out. What I would love for you guys to do before we meet again, or let's just say for Thursday's class, yeah, Taylor, you guys did that with Mr. Beetlestone. So it's grade 9 math, it's just maybe a trickier question. What I would like you guys to do for Thursday, so you guys have some time, maybe this afternoon if you have some, or maybe tomorrow you'll have some free time to get some of this stuff done. I would like you to try to sort out getting these documents downloaded to your computer and printed, or if you just want to write them down. So this is back in our course, in the introductory unit, there is the grade 9 algebra review notes, which we just did. So we've just gone through the algebra review notes. There's also this algebra review, which is just some of the questions we just did. And then there's a bedmass review and a fractions review. So there's 3 sheets with some problems from grade 9. So if you guys wouldn't mind doing the algebra review, the bedmass review, and the fractions review for next day, or Thursday I should say, give you guys some time to get through all of that stuff, that would be awesome. And then, if you're really good and you get that all done, submitting the work. So maybe we'll talk about submitting the work next day because I don't want to keep you guys too long. So if you can have all that stuff ready to go for next day, I'll give you some time to submit it next day. And then we'll, we're going to submit them, hand them into this submit spot here down at the bottom. And we'll talk about how to submit them. So if you can't get it submitted, don't worry about it. If you can just try to go through some of those problems, that would be great for now. And we'll worry about submitting it later. The review notes, you don't have to. If you include them, that's great. But I'll just go on through that. So if you can get that stuff for Thursday, that would be awesome. I'll tell you how to submit it later on Thursday's class. And that's kind of it for now. If you have any questions you want to stick around, I'm going to head back to my room. If you want to stay in Blackboard, I'll be happy to answer any questions or concerns you have if you want to private message me so you don't have to send it off to everyone. But for now, I'm just going to end the broadcast. See me in Blackboard if you have any questions. I'll be around there probably half an hour or so. If not, have an excellent day, guys. Thank you for signing in with me today, and we'll see you guys later.